So what I've heard from teachers as we've traveled the state is there's lots of excitement about the new standards and also some apprehension, some trepidation around anything that's new as usual. But to see the teachers get really excited when they see that these standards mean something different for students in our classrooms, I think that's what keeps me really excited about the standards and about supporting implementation and the future of science education in our state.
Okay, three-dimensional learning and three-dimensional standards there are three different things we are looking at kids. We are looking at skills and engineering practices, so doing science. We are looking at the content, the disciplinary core ideas, or the DCIs. That's the content. And then we're looking at cross-cutting concepts. So how can we figure this out? Looking at patterns, cause effect. So wrapping all three of those into some topic is what three-dimensional means.
The beauty of these standards is that they are written as performance expectations. So as we think about after students have had experiences in the classroom to learn about science in these ways and think in these ways, these are the things students should be able to do with that information, not just do they know the information. And I think that's really empowering as we think about the challenges and opportunities that exist in the world that we are sending these students out to solve and figure out and tackle. They need to be prepared to take their knowledge and skills and use it purposefully.
I think a lot of the changes that you're seeing, they're driven by a number of different things. One of the things that I recognized is that this isn't your mom and dad's biology class anymore. The content that's taught, especially in the area of biology, is so much different now as advances in technology and our understanding of how cells and systems and things like that have taken hold. And so that's driven a lot of change. The careers that exist in the field of science are so much different now.
So the nice thing about the science and engineering practices and the cross-cutting concepts is that they really apply to more than one area. So when I think of some of those things like cause and effect, that you're using throughout multiple subjects throughout the day. In reading, there's cause and effect relationships all the time throughout stories. And in social studies, what happened in our past that led to something else happening. And even structure and function, we think about what are things that we're using in our daily lives that, why is it made this way and what's its purpose? And then also when we just gather evidence and we're trying to find solutions to problems, that's not just science. You're doing that in every content area. So I feel like the science standards and the three-dimensional piece of our science is really good for science, but it also helps me in the other areas too, and the kids, because the more experience they have with it, the easier it gets for them.
One of the changes in the standards, you have to argue from evidence. And this is happening in English, this is happening in science. So you have to go back and look in your science journal to give the exact evidence you used to make your claim or support your ideas.
From my perspective, the most beneficial part of implementing our new Nebraska College Career Ready Science Standards has been seeing what the students can do and what they're capable of when we allow them to. And our standards force that. They require these shifts that students are figuring out phenomena, not just learning about a topic. And from our very youngest students, our little kindergartners who are engineering pinball machines, because they're learning or they're figuring out what happens when you apply different forces and how that affects the movement of something, to our high school students who are tackling these environmental pieces that you have to really understand science in order to make good decisions. It's just been really great to see what our students can do.
This is not new. The ways in which we engage in science and discover our world is not new. It is the ways in which we allow students to engage in that learning that is shifted. And that's why instruction has to shift. And so it's less about what are the standards and more about what are the instructional shifts that have to take place for these standards to be implemented well.